Hello everyone and welcome back to Adoptions from the Heart TV. I'm your host, Amanda Aliberti. Today we are very excited to finally be talking about Triangle Time. Triangle Time is a new program that we are starting here at Adoptions from the Heart, which really initiated from our lovely Jacqueline Fagioli. So Jacqueline is an adoptive parent through our agency, and we've had a long history together. We kind of went some years of not hearing from each other, but somehow we got connected, had a really great conversation, and we realized that there was a need for something new here at the agency. So I'd like to welcome Jacqueline to the conversation.
Thank you. Hi, Amanda. It's good to be here.
Talk to us about, or share with our audience a little bit of what we had initially talked about and what your desires were now that you had been post-placement 7 years with your son.
It's crazy, but yes. So it was definitely from experiencing as a transracial adoptive mother, being out and trying to get Ben involved, and I was very fortunate that I could be home with Ben for a period of time. So we were going to the music classes and the library story time, and the teacher in me was always like, oh, how would I do that? How would I do that differently? Oh, I really like that. I want to try that at home. And then I think it was going to the events and always being questioned who I was when it came to Ben, my son. Are you his babysitter? Are you his? Because we are very different. And I think that always struck a chord with me. And so it was like in my experiences, these great events to bring my son to, and then also always being questioned who I was to him. And if it hurt me, I'm sure, he was little, but at the same time, Ben's hearing that too. And so this sparked this idea of like, oh my gosh, why can't we have this beautiful interaction with parents and children, with its language rich with great literature, fun music, activities, where it's adoptive parents and they're coming with their children. And I felt like in itself it builds this support group, because you're here and you're having fun and it's an activity, but it's like this beautiful safe environment where no one's questioning, well, who are you to your son or daughter? It's just, it really spiraled, and it took a long, long time. I remember sitting in the car when Ben was at his therapies, like OT sessions, and I had like a half an hour and I'd have my notepad, and it just was like ideas were just spiraling, and I'm like, how can I take this concept of a beautiful story time, but like really center it on adoption themes to make it like, because you can go to a story time anywhere, and the libraries do a fantastic job, but how are we going to make this special? And I was so excited when I called you. I finally had the bravery, and I also had the plan, like the concrete plan, that you were so like open and supportive and excited, and that made a huge difference.
Yeah. Well, because I think there was two things happening. One, in conversations with you, I recognized the need for what you were talking about, right? And two, I think you just had such passion and dedication, both from like a professional background of being a teacher and then also being an adoptive parent and through our agency. So you clearly know our values and what we stand for here at Adoptions from the Heart, and it just made sense. And and we just had such a great conversation, and it led me to realize that if we are going to continue to provide these wraparound services, which is what we highlight here at Adoptions from the Heart, before, during, and after for all members of the triad, this just made sense that we needed something like this. And who better to be in charge of it and host it and coordinate it, but somebody who's actually lived through it and continues to live through it as a transracial adoptive parent. So I really want to point that out, because if you ever feel that there's a need for something, please call us. Like, we are ever evolving as an agency. That's one of the things I love about working here, is that it's not just always one way. Our upper management team is very open and receptive to new ideas, new programs, and this just really aligned with who we stand for as an agency. So we're really excited about it. Can you give like a general overview about what this program is, when we're launching it, and kind of the hopes of what's about to happen?
It will have a very storytime feel, so hopefully we'll come in, we'll get to know each other, name tags, and then it's going to involve music. We're going to try to incorporate 2 books each session. We'll have a sensory activity as well, and then also a poem, and then an ending song to kind of culminate it. And there will be a take-home activity too. So each session will be centered on a theme. And then the second book, what I'm trying to do is that it's a book related to our theme that works in the adoption as well. And time to share your adoption story, time to talk about different skin colors, time to talk about how our senses, using our senses in the environment and how that affects how we treat people. And it's kind of all encompassing. So yeah, it's going to reflect very much like a story time at the library, but it's going to have that adoption twist to it, where any theme that we say, like for instance, our first theme coming up in November 9th, it's going to be our first session. We're so looking forward to it. Is entitled Our Bodies. So it's going to talk about our body parts, and we'll do head, shoulders, knees, and toes. But then we're going to transition into a book that's on the night you were born, and that's on the first night I met you, and talk about, and then open up to the parents to talk to their child about their adoption story.
And I will share with you that as social workers, when we're counseling adopted parents, especially ones who have been recently placed, the idea of how do you surround yourself in spaces that highlight adoption in a way that seems authentic is really important. And I think that's one of our goals here, is to create a safe space where people can come together and be with other adoptive families and kids and be able to talk about adoption in a very natural way. The idea of openness is not something that every adoptive parent and adoptee has the opportunity to have. Not all birth parents are willing to or able to have an open relationship. So sometimes in those settings, parents don't know how to still talk about adoption, because if you're not having a relationship with birth parent, it's like, well, when do we talk about these things, right? We're not going to talk every day about how you're adopted. But if you come to a space like this, it's kind of organically ingrained in the program that you've developed, that it just becomes very natural to start the conversation and have it be ongoing.
And hopefully very developmentally appropriate.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And we are starting this for National Adoption Month. We're launching it November 9th, as Jacqueline mentioned. They will be held on Saturdays to kind of help avoid work and things that are going on. So if you are interested, please reach out to any Adoptions from the Heart office. We can send you the information, but we're really excited about it.
We are. I'm very excited.
Yeah, we're looking forward. We're open to making changes, but I'm just excited to kind of create this space that has not happened yet here at the agency.
Yeah, and I think the uniqueness of it is it's in person. It's not a support group on Zoom. I think that was a major need. I think that it's actually playing with your child, with other parents around you. There's something so invaluable about play at this young age to help teach and to have hard conversations. So it's all about engaging with your child in a safe environment, like you said, coming in and knowing we're all adoptive families and we're going to celebrate it.
Well said. Well, if you are interested, again, please reach out to any local office and we're happy to give you the information. And we look forward to upcoming sessions. Thank you so much, guys, and continue to tune in to future episodes.